Precision Racing League proudly presents your American PS4 F1 Championship Series, Season number 11 full-time driver roster and manufacturer assignments. Alfa Romeo Sauber F1 Team, McSendon and Aaron Webb. Mercedes AMG Petronas Motorsports, Marquesas and D-News. Renault Sports Formula One Team, Aerostrike and Dano. Scuderia Ferrari, Nick Dahi and Aletti. Aston Martin Red Bull Racing, J-Rod and Gordau. McLaren F1 Team, K-Dog and Oxford. Haas F1 Team, Chapa and Prowler. Red Bull Toro Rosso Honda, Brian Mosser and Bubba. Racing Point Force India F1 Team, Diego and AB. Williams Martini Racing, Axton and Soldier. And that is your season number 11 full-time drivers roster and manufacturer assignments. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Precision Racing League proudly presents your American PS4 F1 Championship Series. As I almost lost my voice there. Great, thought we were going to have a good night and I almost ruined it 20 seconds in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for this evening, Hootius, out there in Twitchland. You know me as Old Man Hoot. It is Thursday night. I can barely talk. That means it's F1 time. I'm going to start off this broadcast just like I did on Tuesday night. I want to apologize everyone in advance, coming off of a pretty nasty bug that wiped my voice out. Though, be grateful, even though I sound like crap right now, it's a million times better than it was Tuesday. But enough about my terrible nasally drone. Tonight, our F1 boys, as you can see here, as they're already starting qualifying, they're at Silverstone. This is season number 11, race number 10, and that man that we're looking at right now, the two-time defending champion McSendon, has been on an absolute tear. He's won the last 5 races, looking to make it number 6 on a track that, yes, he has won here. But he also had his absolute worst performance ever here as well. It was that shocker back in Season 9, absolute stinker where McSendon spun himself 3 different times and finished outside of the points. The only time that's happened that did not involve a disconnection or a wreck involving somebody else. So while McSendon's on a roll, he's already leading the early qualifying boards. Oh no, was that a wreck out that we may have had early here in qualifying, But yeah, so McSendon, though, trying to keep the streak going. He's sitting pretty early in qualifying. Now, let me go ahead and we're going to throw this out there right now. The reason, normally in qualifying too, we'll show which tires the guys are on, getting ready. That's not the case tonight. Everybody in qualifying is going to be hitting these softs. Why? Because we are in for a drencher. We are talking heavy rain at the start of the race, maybe drying enough for inters by the end. So what that means is these qualifying tires do not matter. During normal circumstances, the top 10 in qualifying have to start the race on the same tires they qualify on. So they'll, kind of be a little conservative. They'll do their hot lap, but they'll try to save tires on their in and out laps. Not the case tonight. These guys are trying to get as many soft tires as possible, get out there, do as many runs as possible, even doing a second lap on the same set of tires if deemed necessary. So that's what's in store for this. So the guys just finished their first stints around. Let's now go ahead and take this opportunity while there's not a lot of action on the track. Let's go ahead and, before we get everybody on a track tour here of Silverstone, let's look at the season that's been going on, first with the Drivers' Championships. Like I mentioned, McSenda is one. Yeah, it's been 5 in a row. So, as you see, he has jumped out to a healthy lead over Nick Dahi. It is 62 points separating for first and second, so McSenda already running away with it. Dahi, though, consistent 7 podiums in the 9 races. He has himself a healthy lead over Aerostrike in third. Axton was the big mover last week at Red Bull. You see, jumped up 2 spots into the top 5 again. Dano was also another top mover. He jumped up to 8th. So, and we see Mystic Joker, our former 3-time champion in the league, unfortunately no longer with us in a full-time position due to work, but maybe one day in the future he'll be back. He's still hanging on the top 10 in points, but who knows, with as wild as this race would be tonight with this small field and a lot of higher up point guys missing, that might be the end of Joker we see on this. Now let's look at the team aspect of it. Nothing changed after Red Bull. Sauber still extending the lead over Ferrari, though look at Renault, they're starting to creep back up to Ferrari now. So that's making the battle tight for second. Then a bit of a power gap before you have Mercedes, Williams, with Red Bull and McLaren trying to hang on to those two to try to see who can kind of be the best of the rest there. With Toro Rosso, Haas, and Force India, though Haas did gain a point, their first point in quite a while actually. So they gained 1 point, kind of nudged them over Force India a little bit, but Toro Rosso still within striking range. Now, everybody is about to head out for the second stint. So while that's happening, for any viewer who's not ultimately familiar here with Silverstone, let's go ahead and take a moment and let's get you more antiquated with a track tour here. Rich in F1 history dating back to 1948, the Silverstone circuit has hosted tonight's British Grand Prix. One lap around here will take you 3.66 miles, having the drivers facing 18 turns, but giving them access to 3 DRS zones that's going to open up some great overtake possibilities. As you come off the final turn, you have a very short distance to go before you actually cross the start-finish line here on the pit straight. This is going to take you into turns 1 and 2, a fast right-left combo, Abbey and Farm. Now you're going to go to the left side as you get hard on the brakes for turn 3, the Village. It's going to take you down a short chute before you're back hard on the brakes again before a double apex left-hander. You're going to come up to entry, you're going to floor it around this left bend, and now here's your first DRS zone and a long straight that heads you down to Brooksland. Trying to get as much speed as possible, get the slip, go for a late break if needed before this very long, fast left-hander. Again, a little bit on the gas, and now you have left field, a very long right-hander. This is a tire eater. As you get on the gas, you're going to go off to the right, but you're still flooring it. Now you're going to veer off to the left-hand side, and you're going to get ready for a sharp yet fast right-hander. As you make the car stick, again, you're trying to catch it before you slide too wide. You do not want to abuse the track limits. Now you're coming up to Maggots-Beckett's. This is a very technical, but very critical part of a fast lap here for Silverstone. As you negotiate there, you're going to be on the hanger straight, which is another DRS zone. You're going to veer off to the left-hand side eventually, and you're going to get ready for Stowe. This is going to be an elongated right-hander, but a fast one at that. You're going to then flatten the car out as quick as you can. You're going to veer off to the right-hand side as you pass the entrance to pit road. Now heavy on the brakes. You're going to have a right-hander, a little bit on the gas. Now you're flooring it. You're, again, taking that last bend as quick as possible, and you cross the start-finish line. That is a lap around Silverstone. Alright, and there you go. So, drivers are starting to wrap up their second stint now. We see McSenda in the pits, Marquez is in the pits, Mebe. So our top 3 guys right now are the only 3 drivers to win poles this season. Mebe has 2, McSenda has 3, and Marquez has 4. So, and you see there's not much of a gap between them. McSenda has just under 0.2 of a second over both Marquez and Mebe, and those 2 drivers are only separated currently by 1/1000th of a second. Absolutely insane. Then we have a bit of a gap back to Axton and Gordau. So Gordau having a good qualifying effort early, still trying to see if he's only 5/100ths of a second off Axton. So Gordau trying to match the qualifying effort he had earlier this season back in China. Remember, that was the top 5 qualifying effort out of Gordau. Really kind of came out of nowhere. It was great to see out of our Mexican driver. And then, unfortunately, just one mistake cost him in that race. So Gordau, though, would like to have another great qualifying effort and then follow it up with a fantastic finish. As he's coming into the pits now, he's going to throw on another set of tires and get at it. All right, currently sitting 6th and 7th, we've got our Renaults. Dano and Aerostrike both coming in. Both are going to get a fresh set of tires and go out there one more time. The lone McLaren out on the track. Eventually he'll be out on the track. K-Dog currently in the pits. Now, we were talking with the team rankings there, kind of in the bottom of the order. There was 3 teams specifically. It was Force India, who unfortunately does not have any drivers here tonight. Haas, who is represented by Prowler tonight, currently sitting in 11th. But both Toro Rosso drivers are here, Brian Mosser and Bubba. So only 2 drivers tonight are not going to score points, outside of DNFs causing drivers not to reach the minimum laps limits. So this could be a very good night for the Toro Rosso boys. Both of them, especially to this young man, Brian Mosser. Zeke, thank you so much for the sub, my man. That was 2 months out of you. I love you, brother. You do too much for me. Especially now that Kurt Busch diecast you got me means so much more that he no longer has the 41. But yeah, tonight's a bit of an off night. We've got Christmas parties guys are missing for. A bunch of guys are sick. So, but this is the first time all season we've been under 18 drivers. So it'll happen. And not to mention though, if you missed the earlier introduction, our race tonight is going to be a downpour. So I don't think a lot of guys are going to be very upset they're missing this one tonight. And you got iRacing. All right, Zeke. Dude, we're talking after this. After this race, me and you, buddy. All right, back to my original train of thought here. So Brian Mosser, Tuesday night in our GT3 league, a career best finish in that league. He fell just short of his first career podium, but a 4th place. He was riding high. It was a great run, and that was including after getting punted in turn 1. It was Monza short was the configuration, which that turn 1 is more dangerous than others. And unfortunately, Brian just instantly got rear-ended, had to pit early. His rear end got completely ripped off of his Acura, got it fixed up, made a set of tires last 42 minutes, and brought home 4th place finish. So Brian, right now sitting 9th in qualifying, but like I said, I mean, we're looking at very, very crazy race conditions. So Brian knows consistency is going to be key tonight, and see if he can get a good finish. And same with Bubba. Consistency has not been Bubba's friend, so we'll see what he has in store tonight. Maybe run a different setup, knowing that the rain's coming, something a lot more stable. Not let that wheel spin be his enemy tonight. Now we're still waiting for our guys to hit the track one final time. So Axton's already out there sitting in 4th place. He's about 3/4 a second off McSendit. He knows he's got Gordau that's going to breathe down his neck. So Axton's looking to gain time and build a bit of a cushion. And Zeke, I'm so excited about that, man. Kurt and Larson obviously are my 1-2 guys. Axton, hold on to that bad boy. Kurt and Larson are my 2 favorite drivers, so the fact they're teammates now is just awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm so ecstatic for it, and I accidentally hit the start button. Let's not do that again. Heretic, how's it going tonight? All right, so Axton has bailed on his lap. He knew he would not have time to come in for a fresh set of tires and get back out in time. So instead of electing to try to run more laps on the set that he has now, he went ahead and he's parked his Williams. He is done. He can do no better than 4th. We got Mebe, who's out. Marquesas is starting to come out. McSendit is on his way out. Maybe this was a bit of a strategy by Marquesas. He is going to come out behind McSendit. So, do we have a bit of sportsmanship that's going to show up here? Marquesas, maybe he's going to try to use... There's no headset in my controller. Stop that. Maybe he's going to try to use the slipstream off of McSendit. If you're McSendit and you know Marquesas is right behind you, do you completely kind of whoa up in one of these turns and try to let him by? Or maybe try to, since we're close to about a minute left here before they got to cross the line, I don't know. We'll see if these two try to, juggle off one another here. All right, that's Gordau. Very slow there on the straight. He's letting everybody by. Oh, and here we go. So I was about to say, because Gordau, he knows if he could put in a good lap, he could reach up to Axton. But now Gordau's got to pass the Renault as Dano has jumped up to P5. He was just 3/100ths of a second off of Axton, clipped Gordau by under 2/100ths of a second. So 4th, 5th, and 6th are literally right on top of each other when it comes to the lap times. Aerostrike out there as well. He's trying to join that battle. He's just a couple tenths off of those guys in front of him. A complete second behind McSendit from the pole. Actually, let's hop on board with the Mercedes. Nope, actually, so Marquesas has fallen further back from McSendit. McSendit may have gone harder than Marquesas expected on that outlap. So the slipstream will not be a factor. All right, Mebe, he's just about halfway done through his lap, through that DRS zone. The very long right-hander. This is a tire eater. They're maybe not so much in the wet weather. If it was a drier race, that corner right there is crucial on who could make it a one-stopper. Our 3 pole favorites out on the track right now in the final stint. And this is it too. This is closing time of qualifying. Anytime a driver crosses the start-finish line, it's done. So Dano, he is brought into the pits. He can do no better than 5th. K-Dog brings it in 8th. Brian Mosser, 9th. J-Rod, who wrecked out earlier, 10th. Prowler, 11th. Bubba's going to be 12th. So we've got Gordau, Aerostrike, and then our top 3 drivers right now. Trying to see who's where on the track. As Aerostrike was going through Maggots and Beckett's. I believe Mebe is going to be the first to cross the line. And yep, here he comes. As he comes off corner number 18. Mebe cannot improve on his time. So Mebe will do no better than 3rd right now. How about our pole sitter McSendit? Just under 2/10ths of a gap back to... Wow! McSendit bringing the stamp here on the final lap. And Marquesas goes faster, but not as fast. So McSendit is going to secure the pole. Marquesas did get a bit of a buffer over Mebe, but still is going to be second. That is going to be McSendit's 4th pole on the season, tying him with Marquesas now. So not a shocker with our top 3. They were the 3 favorites coming in, the only 3 drivers to win a pole so far this season, and they're going to claim the top 3 spots. And there's our official board. So McSendit, again, pole number 4. Marquesas, Mebe. Gordau with his last lap. We missed it because of the scoreboard. So Gordau did jump up to 4th. So the Red Bull did jump the Renault and the Williams. So great lap by Gordau. Axton's going to round out your top 5. Then your pair of Renaults, Dano and Aero, 6th and 7th. K-Dog, Brian, J-Rod, Prowler, and Bubba is going to round out the rest of the field. And again, looking at these gaps, the top 3 were super close into that last stint. So race pace-wise, I expect our top 3 to be close. And then you've got the next 5 drivers who are going to be really, really close. We got Aaron Webb in the chat now. Aaron, hope you're feeling better, buddy. As you can hear, my voice is barely making it in. And there we go. We knew this was coming. There is the heavy rain. So the drivers are going to start on the blues. We thought we might see some blue tires tonight, but it would have been the hard compound. Nope, we're going the full wet compound with a chance of it lightening up to possibly intermediate conditions at the end of this race. So these conditions are going to slow everybody down. That could be a great equalizer in speed. So if it does go to intermediate conditions, this race could be won in the pits. Who makes the right call at the right time? One thing that we know for sure, though, well, I can't say for sure, but we're very secure in saying this. We will not see dry conditions. So, that ultimate tire call, we probably, we won't see it in the pits tonight, but the difference between intermediates and full wets is going to be pretty big. Oh, and actually, I just got feedback from one of our drivers, Aerostrike. Not full wets. With this hard rain, the standing water on the track, they're being started on intermediates. This is going to be absolutely wild. So, normally this parade lap, this parade lap is going to be more important than others because I'm expecting these guys to probably take it a little hard and try to see what they have for these tires underneath them. It's so hard, the fact that Mixon, or there we go. I was about to say Marquez has smoked Mixended off the line, but now they're back in formation. But I would assume these guys are probably going to take a little bit harder than what they were planning on to, because they were not expecting intermediates. This track is really wet. I am actually shocked that they're not on full wets right now. But even in the preferred conditions, turns 1, 2, and 3 at Silverstone are insanely, let's just say, tricky in the greatest conditions. So now it's going to be a matter of survival, though, in these conditions. Actually, we saw Marquez almost lose it on the parade lap here, trying to find out where the sweet spot is on these tires as he's in the grass right now. Mebe third. Now, here's one thing for Mebe. Even though he's a reserve driver, he is driving the same car as Axton tonight. So, you know, if they have to make a pit stop, you're going to have to, even though they're not full-fledged teammates, they have to make sure the communication's there, that they don't stack up on one another. The Renaults are, you know, Dano and Arrow are they're normally pretty much on each other on the track, too. Very comparable speeds, very competitive speeds out of both Renault drivers. But, again, they've not had a pit stop issue yet this season. These guys know how to work it to their advantage and still be competitive, get those top 5 finishes. The only other team that has to worry about that tonight as well is our Toro Rossos of Brian and Bubba. So we're almost finishing up here with our parade lap. Again, drivers, we're seeing a lot of weaving going on. The guys trying to figure out where they could really push it. You know, I still think even with this one parade lap to kind of gauge the track, we're still going to see guys take, or at least I would hope we'd still see guys take it easy this first lap. Because a parade lap is one thing. Now you're on track with everybody else. It's going to be a whole other. 12 drivers here tonight for the British Grand Prix. Everybody's back on the grid. And we've got lights. And we've got racing. Lights are out. Mixended slow off the light, though. That's going to give Marquez a run going into turn 1. Maybe he was looking to maybe take a peek as well. Here they go, wheel to wheel. Mixended goes a little bit wide. Marquez gives him room, though, so Mixended's going to take the top spot back. He's going to hold it through turn 2. We've got action going on behind, so Mebe's going to hold the spot. Axton's going to go ahead and get around Gordau. Gordau now has a pair of Renaults behind him. Gordau's going to tuck his Red Bull in there to 5th place. K-Dog taking a look at Dano. Wasn't there, though. No spots changed here during this first lap. There was a couple arrows here and there, but... Oh, there we go. There's another set of arrows. Excuse me, as Gordau is now losing out. That'll be his second lost spot. Bubba's gotten around Prowler in the back. So the Red Bull trying to get the wheels underneath him right now. Losing a couple spots early. There we go. I was about to say, I could have swore we had a couple more changes, so there we go. So you see Gordau's down 2. Arrow is up 2. Dano's lost a spot. Axton's gained a spot. We have 3 DRS zones that are not going to be used tonight, unfortunately, due to these wet conditions. Dano with some big-time wheel spin, though. Cost him some time there. That's going to allow K-Dog and Brian to close up on the rear of him. Brian looking a little bit racy, seeing if he can make a move on the McLaren. Nothing there to be had so far. Top 3 have gapped themselves right now. Matter of fact, it looked like Mebe was starting to close in on Marquez, but no move to be made. Oh no, Marquez! Great catch by Marquez. No vehicle damage. The wing is intact. Almost. He did lose the rear end of the car. Almost went into the wall there by pit road entrance, but was able to save it. So Marquez right now not liking the setup on the opening lap. He's going to have to be careful. We saw he was actually having issues on the parade lap as well. So that'll be a lost spot for Marquez. Mebe, though, was able to get around him clean, not really lose time to Mixended. So Mebe is holding right there, about 3/4 of a second back. Then we go 2 seconds back to Marquez, but as you see, not very far off our top 2. Axton trying to close in a little bit as we're hoping for a TV camera angle, but we're not getting one. There we go. So Axton still has Aerostrike behind him. Then a little bit of a gap back to Gordau. And here we go. Aerostrike looking to make a move. There's some wheel-on-wheel contact. So Arrow and Axton go wheel-on-wheel. Axton loses the rear end of the car a little bit. Arrow gains the spot. Oh no, and then we've got an issue, and this is going to be Gordau. Oh, this is exactly what we didn't want to see happen. We talked about in China, he had the great qualifying, and then wrecked out. He spins here, he loses a ton of track time, but appears to be no damage on the Red Bull. So Gordau, though, he's got to compose himself. He's still going to have plenty of time to try to get that track position back and get some spots, try to get himself back up into the points. Speaking of the points, so we've got a lot of guys staying close here. Look at this gaggle that we got going on the back as Brian Mosser was able to get around K-Dog. There we go. Whoa, almost contact between K-Dog and J-Rod. That's going to push J-Rod wide in the grass. Prowler and Bubba both look to capitalize on it. J-Rod's going to lose 2 spots. That'll dump him back down to 11th. But again, all 5 cars are still right there. Bubba looked to take a peek on Prowler. He tucks it back in. Mebe just set the fastest lap of the race. He's starting to close in a little bit on McSendit. We'll keep an eye if that gap closes up even more. Alright, and due to the issues with K-Dog, so K-Dog had another slip again. So Brian is able to pull away. Now we've got a 4-car pack. This is going to be led by Prowler. As Prowler goes wide, so does Bubba there. And Bubba almost loses the rear of the car again. J-Rod's looking to capitalize. The Red Bull's going to get by the Toro Rosso. So move J-Rod up to 10th. We had a Sector 1 yellow. Was it Gordau again? I'm trying to look. I didn't see any positions change, so it may have unfortunately been Gordau once again. K-Dog trying to attack the Haas of Prowler. He's got J-Rod all on the back of him. K-Dog with not the greatest run off that turn. He actually loses a little bit to Prowler. It's going to allow J-Rod to possibly take a look. J-Rod backs off. Tucks it back in. Oh, Bubba goes really wide there in the background. Able to hold her together, though. Does not spin as they go through Maggots and Beckett's. K-Dog falls a little bit off the rear of Prowler. J-Rod still right there trying to apply pressure. As we hop on top of the Red Bull. While there's no DRS, these guys are still going fast enough. Slipstream is a factor as you see the Red Bull's getting a run on the McLaren. And you see K-Dog this time really backs out of it. J-Rod had the position. K-Dog gives it to him, doesn't want to fight, doesn't want to risk another incident like they almost had 2 laps ago. So, move K-Dog down to 10th. He is now down 2 spots. J-Rod moving up 1. Yeah, that's that elongated at S. It's not... I didn't say maggot and bagel. I know my voice sucks, but it's not that bad. Come on now. Alright, let's look back up front. While that jockeying for position calmed down a little bit there in the back. So, McSendit now has a second over Mebe. Marquez is still falling behind about 3 seconds, and there's our first retiree. No, it's gonna be Gordau. Oh, the race went from bad to worse for our Red Bull driver. Not sure exactly where he was on track. It was back at Sector 1. The camera won't let us go to a driver once they DNF. And McSendit is only halfway through the lap, so Gordau's car is going to be completely gone. We have no idea what happened to the Red Bull driver, but unfortunate. And it's a virtual safety car at that. So everybody has to slow down. Nobody is near pit road. Yet even our guys in the back, unfortunately, have just passed the pit road entrance. So nobody dare jumped in for a new set of tires. Alright, let's look at these. So, J-Rod, once we get back to racing, he is right on the back of Prowler. And then Brian Mosser also got in front of Dano. So not sure what happened to our Renault driver, but that's going to move Mosser up to 6th place. And it looks like we're already back racing again. That was a very short safety car. And Gordau is now in the chats. Buddy, that sucks, man. We were so happy to see that qualifying effort, man. And as we look now, this rain is still falling incredibly hard. I am really shocked that the game still put everybody on these intermediate tires to start this race. I mean, we've got a definite dry line, but that's just because the rest of the track is absolutely soaked. So drivers having their hands full, Dano being one of them. One driver right now feeling really good about it, though. Brian Mosser, he's +3 right now in the Toro Rosso. We talked about the success he had Tuesday night in a career-best GT3 finish for 4th place at Monza. So trying to keep the week going strong for him. Almost lost the rear of the car there, though. A little bit of commentator curse. He's able to keep it corralled, though. Gave Dano a couple tenths of a second there. Zeke, the rain is supposed to lighten up, but not go away. That's why our original thoughts were it was going to be full wets and then swapping to intermediates. But at this point, it's just going to be an intermediate survival race at the looks of it. Oh, and actually, so Brian, we had Brian with a wiggle and Daniel running wide there. So really, all worked out. Both drivers keep the same delta. Though Brian taking an awkward line through Maggots and Beckett's, and you see how quickly that just caught Dano up. One little mistake, and you said that's the most technical spot on the track. And look how bad that just hurt Brian, as he had over a second on Dano, and now Dano has got the overtake. He's got position, and he's going to take 6th place back. As Marquez is now going purple. Marquez is trying to join that battle up for the lead, so Mebe has got it back down to 7/10 of a second. We'll peel away from this battle real quick. Let's go up front. So McSendit's lead is about 7 to 8/10 of a second, and Marquez now is starting to creep back in. Look, he's making this a 3-car battle again after almost wrecking himself there on lap 1. It's the rain, and to be honest, I think even more than the wets, it's those intermediate tires. Like I said, I'd never claimed to be a good F1 driver. I know I'm not, but you know, I actually did pretty well on full wets in the game. I never could get the intermediates though. It was like driving on glass. Johnny boy, yep. Thanks for pointing it out. That was the first cough I've had all stream. But yeah, for any new viewers to the page as well, I do want to apologize. I am coming off a nasty bug. Sad to say, my voice, though, is 100 times better than what it was on Tuesday night broadcast. So while there's some great GT3 action, if you watch it muted, I would not blame you because my voice was absolutely atrocious in that broadcast. But I do not take the night off. I am here until my voice is shreds, and then we'll just listen to some music. But up front, starting to still, Marquez is trying to close in on Mebe. Mebe lost a few tenths to McSendit over the last lap, but still, the top 3 are all right there as McSendit now goes great. And Mebe gets, all right, here we go. This is the first time of the top 3. Mebe is going to be the first one with a 3-second penalty. Which, to be honest, we've seen a lot of guys go wide in these slippery conditions, so I'm kind of shocked that's the first one that we've seen. Let's go back. Aerostrike right now, pretty much in a race of his own in 4th place. He is about 10 seconds back from McSendit, or excuse me, back from Marquez, but has 3.5 seconds over Axton, so he's not feeling pressure right now. Aerostrike, excuse me. See, once you break the seal, then it was there. Aerostrike is normally one who likes these wet conditions. So not a shocker he's having a strong run right now, but not really finding himself in a podium battle just yet. Alright, we talked about Axton holding steady right now, qualified 5th. That's where he's currently at. Dano, a couple seconds behind him. Then a couple seconds back to J-Rod, who, when we're looking up front, has been able to get around Brian Monster. So Brian had a strong run there for a little bit, but unfortunately it looks like consistency's starting to get at him a little bit. He's lost a couple spots. He was as high as 6th. So Dano, we saw Dano get around him when Brian struggled in Maggots and Beckett's, and now J-Rod's, and there we go, Brian again, off the dry line. You got to be very careful, especially you see Brian sliding out once again. That's what he's got to stop doing right now. I know Brian, the nerves probably got to him. He was excited to be up in 6th, started pushing the car a little bit. You can't do that in these conditions. He's got to woe himself down, get back into a rhythm. He's got speed in the Toro Rosso. We saw him race his way up to 6th. So the speed's there. He's just got to make sure he hits his mark in these conditions. I'm going to mute the microphone for 1 second. There we go. I apologize for that. A little tickle in the throat was not going away, so I just let it out, and I did not want you guys to have to bear through that. Alright, now due to these conditions, though, it's starting to spread everybody out, so we don't have a battle within a second, but we might hear in another lap or so as Marquez still continues to close in on Mebe. However, Mebe is losing out on McSendit. And there we go, Marquez just went wide, and that's going to give him a 3-second penalty. So, Mebe and Marquez are racing heads up. Both drivers with 1 3-second penalty. McSendit does not. McSendit has got money in the bank right now. So, realistically, this 1.3 seconds lead is almost a 4.5 second lead for McSendit when you bring the penalties into play. As Mebe goes wide again. And this is allowing Marquez to close it up underneath the second now. McSendit continuing to get faster. The rain is starting to slow down. You see it's still raining, but not as hard as it was a couple laps ago. This dry line is starting to get in preferred conditions for these inners. And then we're going to see that fast lap keep falling. You can hear the big time engine revving from the wheel spin. Marquez is now falling outside of a second. Maybe able to pull away just a little bit. Still though, it's a battle of these 3 drivers as Aerostrike now is about 14 seconds behind our leaders. So a bit of a power gap back to 4th place, though he is continuing to pull away from Axton. So Aerostrike right now in a bit of a race of his own, but still early. And still knowing that the top 3 guys are that close to one another. If somebody has a mistake, what happens if he collects another guy? What happens if all 3 of them get collected in the same mistake? That could be huge. We'll have to see how that plays out. Now we've got a Sector 2 yellow. And that's going to be Marquez again. I was waiting to see it update. Once the interval updated, it was Marquez. So he was 1 second behind Mebe. He lost over 5 seconds there, so ran off track. Not a spin, though. If it was a spin, he would have lost a lot more than 5 seconds, but ran really wide, probably out in the grass, had to corral her up. Marquez had an issue earlier that lost about 3.5 seconds. He was able to almost make it all back, and here he comes. Marquez is coming in. I think he's had enough of this tire. As Mebe now running the fastest lap of the race. Wolf, very excited to hear that, buddy. Alright, so Marquez elects to go with a new set of inners. Very interesting now. So, if it stays in these conditions, Marquez might be looking at a 2-stop. That was 9 laps that he completed on those initial inners. We'll see if anybody else here pits shortly. But Marquez is calling it quit on that tire early. Drivers, I know, would probably prefer to make it to lap 14. Cut the race in half. Do 13 full laps on inners, pit, and do another full 13 on another. So we'll see how that goes. And also Wolfsburg too. I'm not sure if Aaron may have passed out because he's sick, but once we'll get you on our wait list, and then we'll get you on our Discord, buddy. And then welcome to, and actually I want to say this too, welcome to the PRL. Definitely glad to have you, my man. And everybody out there too, I want to apologize again I personally feel like this is a really crappy broadcast going on, but I'm trying my best not to lose my voice, and it is throwing me off a little bit. So for everybody out there watching and bearing with me, thank you so much. It is very much appreciated. As now we have a battle going on. It's currently the battle for 4th with Marquez's pit stop, but it's Axton trying to defend Dano. And they've got a little bit in their mirrors. Here comes J-Rod and Brian Moss. They're only a second back, and look at the run Dano's got. Axton, no way to even defend that. So does he make it stick? Yes, he does. Give Dano 4th as he goes +2 on the race. Axton falls back to 5th, his original qualifying position. As that happened, Marquez has already got around K-Dog. And here we go, Mebe is coming into pit. So Mebe could not make it to halfway either. It's going to move Aerostrike up to 2nd place. Now here's the tricky part is, even during non-rain conditions, when you undercut like this, the chance to coming out in traffic could slow you down. We're looking at Mebe, and he is going to tuck in behind this 4-car battle. This might be really killer for Mebe. Oh, there's a big penalty. It's going to be against Bubba for speeding onto pit road. So Mebe has a 4-car battle in front of him, but he cannot afford to get woed up by these guys because he was only about a second and a half behind McSendit. He does not want to give McSendit any more buffer room. Thank you, Wano, but you know what that is? It's called being a man. Or an addict, one of the two. Mebe's starting to close up on this battle, though. As we see, he's approaching Brian Mosser. Axton still within a second of Dano. J-Rod, though, all on the back of Axton right now. You see 2 cars ahead. That is the Red Bull trailing the Williams. As the Williams of Mebe is starting to catch the Toro Rosso of Brian Mosser. All these are battle for positions. Just because Mebe's faster, I mean, they don't have to move over for him. Mebe elected to pit early. He's going to take a big run there. And actually, very respectful of Brian Mosser there. Gives Mebe the room. And here comes another pit. Is that going to be J-Rod? No, that's Axton. There's the other Williams driver. So Axton is going to give up 4th place. He comes into pit. So that's one less person for Mebe to worry about. So far, Mebe's having a great run. So the room that Brian Mosser gave him did not slow up Mebe at all. He is still pretty much out there running 100%, trying to make sure that, you know, not giving up free time to McSendit. Though now he's approaching the rear of J-Rod. Mebe is going to want a great run here as he slides the tires. But J-Rod slid on exit as well. J-Rod looks like he can get the power down. Nope. There's a wiggle out of J-Rod. Can Mebe... Is he going to look for a late dive? He made it stick! Fantastic work by Mebe. I thought for sure that car was going to slide in the Red Bull, but Mebe out in the wet stuff, found some traction, got it woed up enough. J-Rod did give some room there, so great work by all there, and give Mebe P4. He is determined to not let McSendit get free time going through this traffic, so hats off to Mebe with 2 strong moves there. Now he puts his focus to Dano. Marquez is now up to 7th place. He's 4.5 seconds behind these guys. Say, man, what's going on, buddy? Friday night for sure, I'll definitely be doing some iRacing. I'm not sure about Saturday. I'm going to actually have a pretty busy Saturday, capped off by a wonderful UFC pay-per-view. So we'll have to see about Saturday. But definitely Friday, we can get it. And here we go. So McSendit was able to cut the race in half. He comes in on lap 13. He's going to get a fresh set of inners. So McSendit is definitely trying to go for the one-stopper. Look at Aerostrike, though. Aerostrike is going to go an extra lap. So for sure, he is going to make this a one-stop race. As Mebe gets himself another 3-second penalty. Though it looks like he's having some issues. He caught Dano in a rough spot. He's going to take a look. It's not quite there, so this is going to cost Mebe. This is what he was hoping to avoid. Now you see with McSendit's pit, he now has, let's call it roughly 3.5 seconds over Mebe. So Mebe did lose time to McSendit with this undercut. Oh, Mebe! Wow. Oh, he went in way too hard. Got into the back of Dano. However, I did not see any debris flying. So, looks like no harm, no foul. Didn't really affect Dano there, but Mebe could have lost his wing there. That could have been absolute disaster. Here we go. He's got to run. Can he make it stick? And yes, he can. So another great pass from Mebe. But now he finds himself 4 seconds back of McSendit. Coming up through excuse me. Beckett's and maggots. There we go. Whatever was in my throat, I just felt moved, so fantastic. Hopefully I don't cough again in this broadcast. But both Renault guys are for sure making this a one-stop race, as Aerostrike is staying out yet another lap. So tire wear on the Renaults is not as bad as we've seen throughout the field. Now we're questioning with Marquez, especially Marquez. I wouldn't say definitely, but highly likely with Mebe, definitely with Marquez. Those guys pitted early. A one-stop may not be in their future, so the Renaults, knowing that they're going to gain a lot of time when the other drivers have to pit, this could be a podium strategy that we're seeing right now. McSendit, though, even after making the pit stop, finds himself right in the back of Arrow Strike. What Mebe is hoping is that maybe McSendit has some issues getting around Arrow. McSendit right now is hoping that Arrow is going to come in and pit this lap, so that way he can keep his cushion on Mebe. As we're on board, the Alfa Romeo Sauber of McSendit staring down Arrow Strike. This is the battle for the lead. As we also have a 3-car battle about to form for 4th place, so we'll see what this lead battle looks like, and then we'll jump back if we have to. Through Maggots and Beckett's. Alright, McSendit. Oh, he wanted to get in that power earlier than you. And a little bit of a wiggle right there. You could tell he was trying to get that really, really good run. He still might get it. Here we go. He's going to have overtake. The inside line. Aerostrike's going to fight back on the outside. Is Arrow going to make a return back? No, he cannot. So give McSendit first, and Arrow still stays out. And here we go. Let's jump back to the battle for 4th. So we just missed it watching the pass for the lead, but Marquez has just got around J-Rod. They're both not far behind Dano. There you go. There's the 3-car battle going on right now. And through all that, too, I completely missed it. We had our second DNF of the race, and that's going to be Bubba. So, unfortunately, Bubba, who's been on a big-time points drought, he's scored in Australia. Our very first race of the season, has not scored points since. And unfortunately is the second DNF of this race. So, outside of any of our current drivers DNFing, as Marquez looks to make the move on Dano, and he'll make it stick. So if no other driver DNFs in this race, we have our 10 drivers who are going to score points tonight. But it's far from over, so we're going to see who gets how many. Yeah, somebody needs to relay that message back to Mr. Mosser. Nothing crazy. Get your point. Prowler right now, though, that's another guy who wants some points. Haas only has 6 points on the season as a team. So Prowler, if he can snag a 7th place, he'll definitely be happy about that. I want to say, too, it was, I believe, Monaco, where Prowler was having a potential good run there until Monaco became Monaco and bit him. So Prowler definitely looking for that best run of the season so far. K-Dog in 8th. Axton down to 9th, so not sure what's happening to our Williams driver, though, but just is not the race that Axton was hoping for, as my voice is starting to go. Excuse me, folks. Sorry about that. Alright, now J-Rod. Now that Marquez has gotten past both drivers, now J-Rod sets his focus to Dano. However, if we look, though, so Arrow Strike, Dano, J-Rod, Prowler, K-Dog, none of these guys have stopped. So that's why Axton's all the way down to 9th. So we still gotta, have to feel, oh my goodness, J-Rod. Slid on the brakes, was able to avoid Dano. That was an insanely close call there, but all these guys still staying out on these intermediate tires. For sure, one-stop race for them. We're still wondering about, no, if these guys are able to go this distance, maybe Marquez and Mebe, maybe they can do the one-stopper. They just decided to pit early. We're going to have to see how that goes. And no, Zeke, you still have to do a minimum requirement of laps. And I agree as well. We're starting to see the clouds break up. We've seen a little spot of blue sky here and there in those breaks, but I don't think this rain is going away either. And even if the rain stopped in the next handful of laps, the track would not dry out in that remaining handful of laps either. So these intermediate tires are here to stay. as we've been watching this battle. So Mebe has gotten around Aerostrike, though that's given McSendit now a 5-second lead, as Marquez is starting to wrap off the fastest lap of the race. You see, J-Rod had a run on Dano, but that was just such a tricky turn in these conditions. We saw Mebe make it work earlier, but J-Rod decided it's not worth it right now, knowing the only thing keeping him out of the points is a DNF. Oh! You know, alright, maybe he deserved the 3-second on that exit, but definitely on the entrance. I thought he definitely kept 2 wheels in, but... So J-Rod, with a 3-second penalty, though, makes the overtake on Dano. 2 of the 4 drivers still having to make a pit stop in this race. Whoa, J-Rod almost lost the rear of his Red Bull right there. Keeps it together. That allows Dano to close it back in, though. No move to be had yet by the Renault driver. Trying to size them up as they go through Maggots and Beckett's. J-Rod finds some breathing room, though. He's going to take the pressure off and just go back to focusing on his marks now. So J-Rod securing 5th place for sure. Dano back down to 6th. Now we've got a battle for 3rd Brewing. Aerostrike still yet to pit. And also, I must say as well, so you do not necessarily you do not have to pit in wet conditions. During a dry race, you do have to pit at least once. You have to use 2 different kind of compounds. When there's rain involved, that's not the case. There's no mandatory pit stop. Now, I'd be shocked if Aerostrike is looking to make his set of inners go the entire time. We'll just have to see how this goes here, but Marquez is on fresher tires, trying to bring the fight to the Renault driver. There's that wheel spin that has plagued Marquez this entire race. You see how, you spin the wheels just that little bit, and Aerostrike on older tires, how far he was able to pull away from Marquez. This battle happening about 8.5 seconds back of our leader. Mebe is 3 seconds above this battle, but still 5.5 seconds back of McSendit. McSendit trying to make it 6 in a row. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Marquez sends it in from way far back, creates contact with Aerostrike there, but that was side on side. There was no wing damage. You see Marquez is giving the spot back to Aero, not wanting to fight it. Lets Aero recruit himself there as J-Rod. He gives up 5th place. He brings his Red Bull in for a new set. Marquez now has to reset himself. Has to try to figure out another move there. Sent it from way too far back. Actually, Bubba, you missed it. I've been into a coughing fit twice and almost lost my voice 3 other times. Now Marquez gets a run, side by side this time, and he's gonna make it stick. So now Marquez gets 3rd with clean pass over Aero. Aero and Dano running 4th and 5th right now still have not pitted on their original inners. And you know what? It appears to have stopped raining. Oh, is that a Prowler who's the yellow? Yes, it is. Unfortunately, so Prowler has had a spin. It looks like his wing's intact, though. But J-Rod's going to get by him, and that's going to move Prowler down to 9th place. So maybe this was the Renault's plan. We thought it was going to stay wet throughout, but maybe if the track might dry up here, we might have a late mad dash in there for slicks. We'll have to see how these final few laps play out, but the rain has definitely stopped falling. We're going to see how quickly this track is going to dry out, though. Now, remember, it's a bigger track, and we only have 10 cars out there. If we had a full 20 cars out on this track, I would definitely say slicks might be a possibility then. We only have half the cars that could fit on here, so it's going to be slower drying the track off. We'll have to see how this plays. Now, we all remember back to Season 9, we had a race in Monza where with 3 laps to go, Aerostrike came in, took off the intermediate tires and put on slicks that we thought was, way too late of a call to make. And it turned out it was the right call to make as McSendit stayed out on his inners and Aerostrike caught up 11 seconds in the final lap to unfortunately fall about a half second short of McSendit. It was one of the absolute craziest, most insane final laps that we've seen, the way that Aerostrike was closing that gap. We might be in store for something like that again tonight with how this plays out. But you see, though, they're still kicking up a lot of moisture off the track. Even though we've got that definitive drier line, it's still not dry. The track itself is still pretty wet. Even though it stops raining, the sun is not out. There's still a lot of overcast. So with the limited number of cars and, no sun, it's going to take a while for this track to dry. We'll see if anybody's brave enough to make that call. And we've got one brave soul. Prowler, do not wreck this Haas. You have a guaranteed point. But Prowler is going to be our brave soul. He's pitting now. He's putting on the soft tire, which is the softest compound that we have tonight. Normally, soft tire is the hardest compound, but not here at Silverstone. Prowler is going to have his hands full, I believe. And we're not going to make fun of Prowler, but we're going to ride with Prowler. We're all going to try to see how these slicks are going to work. You can hear it. Prowler cannot get on the gas. He is trying. There's just no grip in these track conditions. I mean, Prowler was back in 10th place, so I don't blame him. If you're back in 10th place, what do you have to lose? Absolutely nothing. But if you're right, you have everything to gain. Unfortunately, this track is, you can see Prowler working the hell out of the wheel right now. The car is not going where he's trying to point it. But he is working it like a madman. Oh, whoa, power wiggle there by Prowler. Prowler! Don't you, there you go, he keeps his sauce together. Oh, he was wanting to hospital wiggle it into that wall there, but. So I would assume, I would not be, let me put it this way, I would not be totally shocked if we see Prowler come back in at the end of this lap. It is nowhere near ready for these soft tires. And he has a Renault coming up on him. I believe that's Dano. Yes, that's Dano coming back up on Prowler. Marquez with another 3-second penalty. Marquez might actually be at risk. Oh my goodness. So Prowler having to brake insanely early because of that tire. Luckily, Dano kind of caught up onto it there. That could have been huge if Dano could not wall up in time. Arrow is in. And Arrow's got to go to another set of inners. He did not go slicks, so he's got a fresh set of inners on. This is going to be the race for Aerostrike. So Dano's going to take over 4th place. Looks like Arrow is going to get on track in front of Axton. So that's going to keep both Renaults there. You saw Axton in the background. Both Renaults are going to stay top 5. Dano still on his original set of inners. We'll see if that's going to work out for him there, though. As the laps are starting to wind down, just 4 laps to go, McSendit out front. He's been leading this whole race outside of the pit cycle. Your pole sitter. Nebe 5 seconds back, Marquez is 4 seconds back. Though, those 2 drivers have time penalties, McSendit does not, so he has extra money in the bank to play with as well. Zeke not in rain conditions. Any other time, yes. but you do not have to. There is no mandated tire change for wet conditions. Though intermediates normally do eat up, I'm surprised. I'm actually, hats off to Dano for making his tires last this long, because intermediate tires normally do eat up. If it was a full wet race, they probably could, take the full wets, the entire race distance. But to take an intermediate tire the entire race distance, which at this point Dano has to be trying to do. I don't see why Dano would pit now with just, 3 laps to go. He's got 8-second buffer over his teammate. We're going to see if he can make those tires last. If he can, that's a hell of an achievement. Prowler's still out there on the softs. He did not pit. He's, I'm sure, being extra cautious, making sure that, he doesn't get in anybody's way, but he is still out there. He is determined to make that slick tire work eventually. As he goes wide, he's giving room to Brian Mosser there. Did not want to impede the Toro Rosso, knowing that he's ice skating a little bit right now. Now, one thing that we were mentioning earlier that's going to... Whoa! As that was J-Rod. Did J-Rod go on slicks? Yes, he did. So J-Rod made a pit stop for slicks. K-Dog is on intermediate, so J-Rod's trying it out as well. I was wondering, because J-Rod, I know we got the big 3 tonight between McSendit, Bebe, and Marquesas, but I was still not expecting Marquesas to pass J-Rod like that, but now I see why. It's those slick tires. I really wish I could see the tire wear too, Zeke. We're definitely going to bug Dano about this. Because like I said, it's going to be a hell of a feat if he can make that last. Matter of fact, let me just make sure here. Yep. No pit stops. Dano is trying to no-stop this race. But he is losing a bunch of time, though. It was 7 seconds. Now it's under 5. Back to Aero. So, with a couple laps remaining, Aerostrike might be able to catch his teammate. There he is up ahead. We'll have to see how this plays out between the Renault drivers. We look, though, only 2 drivers are in the same position that they qualified. So we had a lot of movement going up. Not McSendit. McSendit is not one of those drivers. He qualified on the pole. He is currently sitting P1. Bebe and Marquesas has top spots. Dano and Aerostrike are both in the green. Axton dropped a spot. Brian Moster has gained a couple. K-Dog is the other driver who's held steady right now. And then J-Rod and Prowler have moved up into the points. Bubba, though, unfortunately, with his DNF, he'll still be up 1 spot. And then tonight's big loser was unfortunately gored out with that early wreck. 2 to go now. McSendit trying to win yet another race. This whole time, too, I've been saying 6. He won 6 last week. He's going for win number 7 in a row. Numbers are hard, man. So McSendit looking for 7 in a row. 5.5 seconds back to Mebe. An additional 4 seconds back to Marquesas. Mebe and Marquesas both with penalties to their name. Marquesas with multiple penalties to his name. Prowler! Though, I think that's going to be close. I think Prowler, Prowler was 1 lap down. That means he would have been on lap 24. That would have been enough laps to give Prowler that point. So we had our 3rd DNF. We know Prowler was out there on soft, skating around with no traction. So the Haas is going to finish 10th, but I do believe he completed enough laps to get that final point. Maybe that was Prowler's plan. Maybe he knew exactly what lap he needed to go to and then gave his Haas a mercy kill. And there we go. Unfortunately, I was diddling around. We missed the pass, but Aerostrike, just Dano having to baby his tires, his original tires. Pretty sure that was a correlated move there between the 2 teammates, not wanting to risk damage to one another. But Dano, here we go, on the white flag lap, He's got Axton 4.5 seconds behind. We'll see if Axton can bring the fight here on this final lap. As K-Dog here on the white flag lap gets himself a 3-second penalty. We're now looking at the leader, McSendit. We mentioned it several times before. On the pole, he's led this whole race minus the pit cycle. In Sector 1 right now, about 2/3 of a lap away from victory number 7 in a row. He started the season off with three straight third-place finishes, and now trying to rack off 7 wins. And Prowler's showing us in the chat. Prowler, well, first of all, congratulations. You do get the point. So you did complete enough laps. You do get that point. And thank you for the show. We may have followed you around on those ice skates that you call tires for about half a lap. But kudos to you for trying it out. McSendit, nice and steady. Nerves not getting to him at all. Having this great, clean last lap here. As he passes corner number 17. Corner number 18. Checkered flag. There's a little victory wiggle. Give it to McSendit. That is 7 in a row in the Sauber. Mebe's going to cross the line in second place. His penalty kicks in. That puts him 11.5 seconds. Marquesas decides to go, wreck his... didn't fully wreck it out. Just broke the wing. So he'll finish 4 seconds behind Mebe after the penalties have been tallied. Arrow strike. He's 30 seconds behind now for 4th place. Oh, Axton is starting to catch Dano. So here we come in the closing turn. Dano, no! Dano loses it, and I lose my voice. Oh, Dano whipped it around on the final lap. That's going to give Axton 5th place. Congratulations to Arrow Strike, who finishes 4th. Actually, let's follow Axton. Make sure he... There you go. Axton crosses the line in 5th. Does Dano have a puncture? He does. It gave out. Dano almost made it the entire way on that tire. The right rear gave out on the final lap. Hats off to Dano, though. He went for the no-stop strategy on inners and was... he was so close. He was 3 corners away from making it happening. Brian Mosser, that 4th place Tuesday night, he's going to follow it up with the 7th place tonight. Good run for Brian. K-Dog in 8th. J-Rod's going to finish 9th. And he's in chat. Dano, we were rooting for the no-stopper, dude. You almost made it. And here we go, the podium celebration. The man that we've seen on the top step for almost 2 straight months now. McSendit 7 in a row. Mebe, 2nd straight week, he's going to finish 2nd. And then Marquesas able to do the recovery drive, and he'll bring it home in 3rd. Excuse me. And there's our official leaderboard. So McSendit, Mebe, Marquesas, with Arrow and Axton rounding out your top 5. Dano almost clinched that top 5. That right rear blew on him with 3 turns to go. He'll bring it home 6. With Brian, K-Dog, J-Rod, and Prowler rounding out the top 10. And then, unfortunately, Bubba and Gordow with their DNFs 11 to 12 to round out the field. And even with his DNF, pretty sure Prowler did complete enough laps to score that final point. All right. Oh man, now my voice hurts again. Thanks, Dano. Oh, it made me lose my voice in the final lap. Oh, I didn't even see that message. So DRS enabled on the last lap as well, huh? Almost. Really makes me wonder, if we had a full 20 cars out there, could we have dried off the track to make it, DRS enabled with maybe 2 to go? I don't know. It would have been interesting to see. Yeah, and hats off, too. I know it was only, 2 or 3 drivers with the no penalties, but to not get any penalties in these conditions, hats off to you, gentlemen. Fantastic run. Oh, good. Wolf, he's in the Discord now. Perfect. So keep an eye on that Discord, Wolf, because that's where you're going to see a lot of guys, when they're practicing and whatnot, they'll toss it in there. Yeah, Zeke, cars do dry it. And actually, if the sun comes out from behind the clouds, too, that'll dry it off. But unfortunately, the overcast stayed and the track stayed wet. And I don't see anybody in Discord. As much as I love talking to the guys, if they don't pop up, I'm not against not doing podium interviews because my voice is pretty damn shot. But we got to give hats off to it. McSend just absolutely nuts, 7 in a row. It's one thing to be fast everywhere you go, to have that consistency. That's world class. And it stinks, too, that we lost Mebe for that handful of races due to work, because it just shows how talented he is with that podium finish. And then Marquez, able to survive tonight. I know he would call that a bit of a survival. He was not looking forward to wet conditions, so I know Marquez has at least got to be happy to walk out with a podium, given what he had to drive through and everybody else tonight. And Brian, man, congratulations, brother. That was another good finish this week. I was even harping on your 4th place Tuesday night, so good job backing it up, man. All right, I'm going to enable the 5-second, who am I kidding? For me, it's, all right, the food has been on the floor 25. God damn it, McSend it, now you show up. I was going to say, that's it. I don't care who jumps in Discord, I'm done. But fine, I guess I'll do one interview. McSend it, my man. 7 in a row. Your 4th pole, which ties you with Marquez, and I know that's big. So let's talk about your night tonight, man.
Yeah, that was a tough race to hang on to, man. That was a struggle for everyone, especially at the end. The track was so greasy, and I didn't see every retirement, but it definitely I saw quite a few popping up, especially towards when the track was drying out. I don't know.
No, unfortunately there was 2. Actually, no, they were staggered out. Gorda was early, Bubba was in the middle, and then we lost Prowler at the end, but Prowler was also ice skating on slicks, so
okay.
He was the brave soul to try that out.
Well, in that case, not too bad then, considering this is probably one of the most treacherous tracks to drive in the wet, so good job to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, just another, no shocker that you won the pole. We knew it was going to be the big 3 in those dry conditions, but then you had that consistency in the wet to really pull away. You made that initial tire last a little bit longer. You weren't, that was what we saw with Mebe with his early pit, kind of getting traffic a little bit. You were able to avoid that. You only had Aerostrike to pass. And then, was there any part of you, though, that went back a couple seasons ago? It's like, all right, this track is starting to dry out at the end. Are we going to have a Monza situation?
Are we going to have a Monza situation, or are we going to have another McSend-it stinker situation? Was what I was thinking. Trying not to think about it, but, the thought's always there. It's like, ooh, I got a history with this track. Couple clench moments, but Yeah, I kept it
Well,
under control.
everybody had clinch moments tonight. That's for sure. But no, again, hats off to you, man. That was a fantastic run. Like I said, you led pretty much start to finish, minus that little bit of a pit cycle there. But just hats off, buddy. 7 in a row, man. Fantastic effort.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Thanks, and hats off to Dano. I'd say was he the only car to no stop?
He was the only one to no stop, and then blew his right rear with 3 corners to go.
Yeah, I was watching like on board for that.
Wait till you hear my voice pop on that. It was pretty pathetic. But also in Discord now, we've got our 3rd place finisher tonight. We're talking about a man that I know did not want to see wet conditions, but toughed it out and still brought home the podium. Marquesas, my man. You had a bit of a rodeo tonight. You had to hold on to that bad boy.
It was just mistake after mistake after mistake, after back end loss after mistake.
But yeah, no, we saw it early on lap 1 where I was actually really concerned the way your car kind of caught. Like, we thought you were going to hit the wall. You were able to keep it off. So even though you had the mistakes, you didn't have that one big mistake that, resulted in wing damage. So, I mean, at least hats off there. I know you still want a lot of those corners back, but you were able to keep the original wing on the car at least. And still, even with the mistakes, you had some really great speed in the Mercedes tonight.
Yeah, I felt like I was definitely as quick as Extended, which is surprising because I'm usually dog poop in the wet, but I'm still dog poop in the wet regardless of how quick I am. So,
were you as shocked as we were? Because when the broadcast started and we were seeing how hard the rain was falling, and it put you guys on intermediates. Were you a little shocked by that? Were you expecting full wets at least maybe to start and then go to intermediates?
I was definitely expecting full wets. I was thinking of starting full wets, then pitting really early for intermediates. But I think the full wets were actually quicker at the start of the race. But in the long run, it was this.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm still in shock that it didn't start you guys on the blues because, man, that was a lot of water. But overall, though, tonight, my man, like I said, I mean, I know you're not happy with your performance. Mistakes were made. But to walk out of a combination of Silverstone and, standing water, to walk away with the podium, I know you got to be happy about that.
No, I'm not happy at all. Very unhappy, actually. But,
Oh, it could be worse.
Could it, though?
Oh, it could be. It could be a lot worse.
I mean, yeah, on paper it could, but like, I probably if I put it in the wall, I'd still feel as annoying.
Well, that is probably true. But alrighty.
Right now as well, which is just adding to the fire.
Oh my goodness. But speaking of fire, my throat is about to explode, so let me go ahead and wrap this up. All right, Twitch, let's give it up again. Your race winner tonight. McSendit makes it 7 in a row. Mebe, shout out to him. He doesn't have a microphone to join us in these interviews, but that's 2 straight second place finishes for Mebe. Great run by him. And then Marquez is rounding out the podium tonight. Gentlemen, congratulations.